Good evening. It's Brian Paragamian, senior trader, as well as co-founder of ProfessionalStockTraderLive.com, bringing you Tuesday evening's technical analysis video update for February 3rd. And we saw a stock market close up 141 points to close at 8,078 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it does not surprise us. As we had mentioned yesterday, the indicators we're not suggesting anything too negative. In fact, we thought, based on the breadth and some of the other indexes, that we thought the market was in a position to hold together and rally, and it certainly did today. And again, this morning, we felt the same way based on some of the indicators that we were watching. Let's talk about a stock that we actually, well, before we get to that, let's get right into one of our ideas for tomorrow. And the symbol is YUM. We've got stock right up here, Yum Brands. They reported earnings tonight after the close. They came in 1 cent better than expected. Not a big deal. They're giving guidance, nothing good or bad, kind of neutral. And as you can see here in the aftermarket, Yum is bid down about 60 cents in the aftermarket at 27.67. It closed at 28.27. But let's take a look at what's getting us bearish the stock here. And what's getting us bearish is just here recently, the stock has broken down below its 50-day moving average, which is this white line right here, this moving average. And the stock snapped back a little bit this afternoon when we had the overall market rally. But as we zoom in on this picture a little bit, we think the pattern here is bearish. And if you want to go ahead and draw a little downtrend line here, you can. And we think below these lows of today that the stock is really getting ready to break down. And as you can see, if we draw in another trend line here, below these lows, and we're starting to take out a, what do you want to call it here, a 2-month low going back to early January. So we think it's bearish here. And if we start taking out this 27 and a quarter area, let's call it, we think the stock is in trouble and heading lower. And based on where it's trading here in the aftermarket, they're not too impressed with the earnings. So technically speaking, we look to be a short seller of the stock below 27 and a quarter. One stock we're going to look at, and we're quite impressed and enthused about the performance today. And we looked at this stock last evening, and that is Almost Family Inc. They're into the nursing home industry, and we talked about this stock last night, and we're very, very impressed by the tape action, and we're very excited on the stock's performance today. And we had talked yesterday how it was some 37% off its January highs, and that as of yesterday, it was 8 days without a higher high. It was in the 6-month support into this 30 zone here, as we talked about. It was oversold on the RSI, which now you can see it's flipping back up from being oversold under the 30 level. We had talked about the stochastics turning up on buy signals. Okay, and we talked about then getting long the stock and using a stop at 30 or slightly below, maybe even at the 29.30 area, the lows from yesterday and going back to the lows back in October. So we talked about the stock as having a nice setup, and we talked about it being a trading idea. But in fact, what we did today, we went ahead and looked at it a little closer and analyzed it and decided to actually put it on our swing trade alert. And we sent alerts out with the stock right around 31, more than enough time for people to get in, and the stock responded nicely. Absolutely pleased with this trade. The stock relayed all the way up to 32.99. So we're long the stock. We were aware that earnings were to come out today before the close. They have not come out yet. As you can see here in aftermarket, it's bid 32.35, offered 32.99. Doesn't mean a whole lot. The aftermarket trading, for the most part, on some of these stocks. We don't know when the earnings are coming out, but if we continue to see upside in this stock, we are going to look to take profits on it, and we're not going to be shy taking profits tomorrow as a stock potentially, and we certainly would expect it making a higher high. And the spot we'd like to really try and sell into is right into this 200-day moving average, which is this red line here. and that comes in right around the 35 area. So if we get continued strength tomorrow, we're going to look to blow this out up in that zone, and quite honestly, if we start even moving up into the 34 area, we may look to take profits and lock in 3 points on a very quick trade. But again, we have stops down below today's lows at 30.07, and we're actually going to move the stops up now to a break even. So we can't get beat on this trade anymore. We're moving stops up to 31 on a break even on Almost Family. We're very happy with the tape action today. And let's just go ahead and take a look at, if my computer would cooperate with me here, as it looks like it's frozen here for just a moment. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stochastics on that and talk about what we had illustrated yesterday. And let's zoom in on this picture just a little bit. We had talked about yesterday how the stochastics had given us a buy signal from being very oversold, and they're still oversold, trading below 20 on the stochastics. But we had liked the fact that it had given us a buy signal, even though the stock had made a lower low from the previous day. So we were back into the 6-month support. We were on the verge of breaking a downtrend, we felt, and the stock hadn't had a higher high in 8 consecutive days. Everything pointed to us getting along the stock for a trade. In fact, we moved it into a swing trade alert that we issued today. We're along the stock, raising our stops to 31. The one other thing we want to talk about is gold. And today on our live webcast, we had talked about how gold was, and I'm going to zoom in here. We had talked about how gold was kind of sitting up towards its highs. Not at its highs, but you know, it was trading in the 9.10, 9.12 area today, and the previous high was 9.30. So it was only $15 to $20 off its highs. But what we mentioned this morning was the fact that AEM, which is one of my favorite gold stocks, was trading around the 50-51 area, which was $8 off of its highs, as you can see here. And when gold was up $6 this morning, we had mentioned that, and we said, you know, this just doesn't look right. The gold stocks are trading very heavy, which either suggests gold is topping out or the gold stocks are going to play some catch-up to the upside. And we didn't think that to be the case. We thought gold was probably topping out. And as you can see here, gold smartly reversed, closing down $9.40. And the reason we make this point is this is what's called a negative divergence, where you had the gold itself, the gold futures, scooting to new highs here 2 days ago. And 2 days ago, and let's just zoom in on this a little more, 2 days ago, you had AEM trading 4 points off its highs. So that's a divergence. And to even further that point, a negative divergence. And to even further that point, the XAU, which represents the gold stocks, that also 2 days ago never made a higher high as gold did itself. As you can see, this was its previous high, and here's its high from a couple days ago. So you had a divergence on the index itself. So that's what's called a negative divergence. We wanted to bring that out, to just point that out to you from a technical perspective, and kind of share with you what we mean by learning some of the technical aspects of becoming a better trader. So having said that, we don't have any other ideas to share with you other than we want to reiterate we are long AFAM as a swing trade. As you can see here, it broke out finally today out of a steep downtrend as it held on to its 6-month support. We're long AFAM using a stop at 31, which is a break even now. And the other stock we talked about is potentially getting short YUM, Y-U-M, as it breaks down below today's lows in the 27.25 area. So without anything to add, we'll let you run for the night. We hope to have you join us tomorrow morning on our live webcast. And again, we certainly encourage you to take a look at these videos and take a look at some of our other day trading ideas, because we think we bring to you great ideas with the perfect setups. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, those of you who tuned in this morning for our webcast. We'll see you in the morning around 8:20. Have a good evening.